Hey everyone, good to see you guys on board. As you start entering into the chat room, just let me know if you could see me okay and hear me okay. Just want to make sure everything's working before we start this month's call. So just go ahead, let me know. On your right side, you should see a nice little chat room, chat roll. You can go ahead and just type in the little chat box in the comment box section. Just go ahead and type in that you can hear me and see me okay. And we'll give a little bit, we'll give a couple minutes for people to just, welcome themselves into the room and we'll get started. So, all right, Jimmy, good to know that you can hear me. Andy, what's up? Brian, Andrew, Brandon, Jim, Word. So excited for you guys to be here. I've been really looking forward to this month's call. So cool. Alicia, I'm so happy you're here. Danny, all right, now it's going to get crazy. As we've gotten so many new members and additions to the Beat Academy family, I will do my best to circumvent all the questions that we're going to be dealing with today. So just be patient with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of great things I want to talk about, some really cool things I want to share about what's coming up in Beat Academy and things like that. And I just want to hang out with you guys and see what's going on in your world and see how I can best come alongside and serve you any way that I can. So I guess for those of you who are just coming in, you just missed how I saved a baby panda from drowning. So sorry, you're gonna have to get here a little bit earlier. No, I'm kidding. We're just getting started, so we'll wait about another 2 minutes or so for people to kind of just who are wandering in. We'll go ahead and how's everybody's New Year? By the way, Happy New Year. Just let me know once again where you guys are from. Florida. I can see hear you too. Thanks, Colin, Ken, Felipe. Works fine. How was the New Year, guys? Okay. Dallas. We've got Iceland in the house. Arizona, Illinois, North Carolina, like a helicopter. New York. Brian says his New Year's was bitter cold. I'm sorry about that, Brian. Man's not hot. Man can never be hot, and I guess sometimes man could be too cold. So fine and dandy. Cool. Now, as we I'll put this up on here. So as we start to get into the Q&A section, you guys might notice that in the chat on the bottom of the chat, there's the little chat bubble or the little comment bubble. You can click that, and then you could go, instead of chat, you can head over to the Q&A section, and that will allow me to see your question. And it actually just it becomes like a sticky on the bottom of the video. So that'll be really helpful for me when we get to that part of the Q&A call, to just notice your question, and I'll do my best to just kind of go through as many as I can. So in the comment section, you can click the little chat bubble and head to Q&A, but only use that when you are when we're in the Q&A portion. That way I'm not, if you're just trying to chat something, and that way it doesn't get confusing with all the questions and stuff like that. So what we'll do is maybe just like another minute or so for people who are just coming in. I'll give you a little update on Beat Academy, what we're doing, and then what we'll do is we'll head into some of the questions that were posted into the forum. I'll do about maybe about 4 of those, and then I'll open up the floor for you guys to just have some Q&A in here, and we'll just have a grand old time. We'll have a good time dialoguing back and forth. So Andy's off to a head start. He's like, I'm getting this party started. Thanks, Andy, for the question. Just hold on to that right now. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through some of the questions that were posted on the forum in the channel for this call. We'll start with those first, and then just a couple of those, and then I'll let you guys know, just so that I can do my best to capture and to get to all the questions, and not just that way it gives everybody a little bit time to kind of think through their questions and write them down. One thing you want to do that works for me is open up maybe like a Google Doc or a Notes or whatever, some kind of program where you can jot down the questions, have them ready ahead of time, and that way you can just kind of copy and paste them into the chat box, and that way you can focus in on what I'm talking about. Sometimes what I've noticed is people are writing questions and they're missing out on what I'm actually saying. And I know you can always go back to watch this later. So, however, it'll be helpful for you guys. But so super excited for this year. One of the things that I'm really excited about is really just investing more time and energy into Beat Academy, in the sense of reaching out to a vast network of other producers and writers that I've worked with, and artists themselves. So, I'll be making trips both to Nashville, LA, New York, and bouncing back and forth for the sole purpose of just tapping the shoulder of a lot of guys that I've worked with, and ladies that I've worked with in the industry, who are really still at the top of the ladder industry. And it's just been such a blessing to work with them. And I just want to be able to have them, stop on by, offer, some breakdown videos, and help, help walk through some of the production of their songs, as well as some insider knowledge from the experience of from writing songs and just working in the industry as much as possible. So I wanted to use that and be able to just use the network that I have for the advantage of everybody who is a member to Beat Academy, just because I believe in it so much. And I think it's just such an amazing platform. And I'm not trying to toot the horn. What makes it amazing is you guys. I mean, you guys are really the heart and soul of what's happening here. And I've just been over the moon to see what's been going on in the community. I mean, I can't even keep up with all the amazing stuff that's going back and forth. But I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be happening in the next couple of months. I'm going to be, inviting top names in the industry to be a part of just sharing from their experiences, and allowing you to really take advantage of those golden nuggets that they'll be sharing, so that you can take your next step forward with your music. And that's been the biggest thing for me at the start of my career. I mean, I can't say this enough, but the biggest thing, the biggest milestone for me was really just having somebody believe in me and come alongside me and help me take that next step. So I want to be able to provide that opportunity, not just with myself, but with others that are in the industry, currently working professionally in the industry. So I'm really excited about that. So definitely stay a part of the family, because there's a lot of great things happening down the road. So also, I'll talk a little bit about this later, but I just posted something really cool this morning from a management of one of the biggest girl groups in Japan, and K-pop, that stuff over there. So they hit me up directly with a request, and I've actually given you guys access to take a look at what I've been given. So that's an opportunity there for you as well. All right, let's dive into some questions, because there's a lot of them, and I'm excited to get into them. Does that sound good? Let me know in the chat room. Peeky, peeky, peeky. I don't know why your chat room would sound like that, peeky, 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 like a magical flute, but let me know. Let me know if this is if what I just shared is something you guys are interested in. Leon says yes. Amber, yes. Brandon, let's do this. Dakota, let's get started. All right. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you guys for taking the time. And I know some of you, we're obviously posting on the forum what time works best for these live calls, and I was discussing it with my team, and I love these times that I get to spend with you guys. So I decided for this month I want to do 2 calls this month. So we've got this call going on, and we're going to announce the next call, which will probably be on a Saturday. So I know a lot of people might have issues attending. I mean, it is why we do a vote every month as to what days would work best. We just want to best serve you guys any way possible. But yeah, we're going to do another call on Saturday, so be on the lookout for that. All right, let's jump right in with some questions. So here are some of the questions from the forum, and then I'm going to open up the floor for you guys to just jump in on the chat. Be sure that you're using the Q&A button here in your comment section, because that's going to be helpful for me to notice your question. All right. So the first question comes in on the forum, and here's the question. With response to tracks being pitched to major labels, artists like the ones you share in recent posts or in general, should tracks be private links with no previous downloads or public sharing, registered with BMI? Like, what do we do when opportunities come our way? So first off, you know, any request that I put on the forum, any requests, whether it's major artists looking for opportunities or anything like that, or it could even be upcoming sync campaigns, maybe you know, Google's looking for music for their next Pixel phone and things like that, because I get hit up with that a lot. The best thing to do is just, you don't need to go crazy registering stuff. It doesn't have to be registered with ASCAP or BMI or your performance rights organization from wherever you're at just to submit stuff. Just go ahead and submit it, because you having the track already is tangible enough to be weighed as copywritten, so that and the way it's going to work is I'm filtering the whole process. So if I find something that I really think will be a great contender, I'm going to privately link up with you and just tell you, hey, this is how we go to the next step. And I'll be very upfront and honest and clear about what those next steps will entail. All right, so it's very simple, not to get too crazy. So you don't have to have every song or track or idea submitted through BMI. That's something down the road we can get to. All right, the next question. What are some tips for keeping our own egos in check? If someone criticizes our work, how should we approach the balance of knowing whether or not it's good criticism? Awesome question. How much time do we get? I think one of the biggest tips for keeping our own egos in check is, first of all, that question alone is a great indicator that you're somewhat prepared to get your ego in check. And what I mean by that is, if you're not even questioning the fact that you have a struggle with criticism, you tend to get lost in pride, and that tends to that's when it sneaks up on you the most. For instance, if you're not aware that you have an issue with criticism, then you never actually make room for you to grow. And what I mean by that is, you're simply always in the heart of what you're getting at is, you become at the center and everything revolves around you. So when somebody comes alongside and tells you, hey, maybe you should add this or put some reverb in your stereo, you're like, no, I think it's fine the way it is. And basically what you're doing is you're asking for criticism so that people can pretty much give you a high five so you would feel better about yourself. This is something I struggled with for so many years earlier on in my career, because nobody around me believed in me enough. So I thought I need to have Kanye West self-confidence, right? But it ended up hurting me in the long run. So the more you can become a teachable person, the more you can be easily molded, more like clay and less like cement, the lot farther you're going to become. So one of the practical things you can do is kind of choose about three or four things about the work you're doing that you won't compromise on. Like, you know, I love the beat, or I love the, you know, this thing, and just not firmly stand on them, but just say, okay, here are two things that, you know, I'm really comfortable with, and I'm open for all the other areas about this track to be criticized. Anyways, the best way to move along in this industry and to further your career is to be humble enough to have a teachable spirit. I definitely am. I have so much more to learn, even after the years of experience in this industry. So anybody who's closed off to thinking that they've got it all together, well, that's where you stop. Basically what you're saying is, I don't need anything else. I'm already done. This is the end of the line for me. So I would encourage you to not have that, because you're going to be really shortchanging yourself. So I hope that makes sense. It's a great question, and that's going to be different for everybody. What headphones do you recommend for mixing and mastering? And could you give us a list of pop songs to use as references for mixing? All right, so headphones really come down to your budget. And I personally, I'm using these KRK 6400s here, just because I grabbed them from the local music store. I've used Sony MDR 7509s or 6s. What I've learned, and I've done a video on this a long time ago, is the best way to really get the money's value from your headphones is using a reference mix. So um, a good friend of mine, Frank El Medico, he mixes all of Major Lazer stuff just using headphones, and they're like the cheapest. It was $100 pair of headphones, and so he does it because he uses a reference track. So Sennheiser HD 650s are great. I mean, there's a lot of great headphones, but the problem is if you start going on this holy grail hunt for the flattest and the cleanest headphones, you'll probably end up being disappointed. So what you want to do is work within your budget, get some decent headphones, and use reference tracks while you're mixing in headphones. That way what you can do, that way you can listen to what that pop sound sounds like in your headphones and do your best to match your current mix to that. And that's really going to be the best way to get the value out of your headphones. So I hope that makes it. As far as a list of pop songs, just stay with something that's close to your track. You know, if you're doing straight up pop, if it's if it's K-pop, listen to other K-pop. If it's vibe trap, if you're doing Kendrick Lamar, listen to some other records that are in that same vein. I mean, that's really the best way to do references, is that you want to get something within that ballpark. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and answer one more question from the forum, and then we'll move over to the board. Sippy sippy. Anyways, so here we go. So sometimes, here's another question. Sometimes I don't finish, sometimes I don't finish ideas that I originally thought were super cool because I listen to it over and over when working on ideas for the arrangement. Eventually I get sick of it and start doubting if it was even cool in the first place. First of all, let me know in the chat room if this ever happens to you. If you struggle with finishing ideas because immediately you thought they were really cool, and then you get sick of it and you start doubting because you've been just listening to it over and over and over. And the question is there a better workflow or process you can suggest so I don't kill ideas simply due to listening to them on and on repeat? Thanks. Yeah, listen, that's going to happen all the time. And so I even get sick of some ideas when I work on them. I think the best thing to do is not necessarily, you got to come up with a process and realizing, I don't ever approach my beat making or my song production process with a goal like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm writing a song about a panda who's lost her way or whatever. I'm not doing that. I don't know why I'm on the panda tip today. Just go with it. But what I'm saying is I don't usually go with a set focus in mind unless I'm working with an artist and we're just vibing, and that's something different. I'll talk about that in a second. But more importantly, when I'm getting carried away with the creative workflow, when I'm working on a beat, putting our bass line down, I want to make sure that I don't spend, the problem with that is you're spending a lot of time on the detail. Now, there's a difference when you're adding detail to the dominant idea. And what I mean by that is the dominant idea is, here's a simple beat, here's a bass line, here's some chord progressions. Okay, let me get to the core idea, maybe a melody, specifically a hook melody or a chorus melody or a drop or a breakdown. Because the moment you can get to that point, then everything kind of gets solidified and it's easier to flush this out. And I go into detail about this in the songwriting and arrangement course. So you're more than welcome to hit that up as many times as you like. But basically, I strive to keep things bare, simple, until I get that great hook melody or that great bass line for the drop if I'm doing remixes or dance tunes. And when I come up with that, then it's okay for me to spend over and over on the details. If you start off tweaking a snare drum for 5 hours, yeah, you're pretty much going to hate it too. So, and plus, when I'm working in the studio with Sia or another writer, I can't spend 5 hours tweaking drums and things like that. So I need to just put something down, that it's in the general ballpark, and focus in on the core messaging or the core idea. When I get that, then I can go back and flush out that stuff. So that's currently my process right now. Even if it's a simple idea, I'll just throw it down. Yes, Felipe, I mean the catchy part of the track, the hook, the chorus. What's the overall vibe here? And that's what I'm getting at. So I hope that works. I hope that's helpful for you. Try to switch up your workflow to be like, here's the chord progression. Let me hum or sing something that I know is a catchy vibe. And then another thing you can do is implement collaboration. You know, a lot of your stuff that maybe you might hate by now, maybe a 8-bar riff or a 4-bar loop that you have, throw it in the Beat Academy collaboration forum, and you'll be surprised that somebody who'll hear it for the first time will come up with fresh ideas. And there you go. That's the new spark of creativity that you need to. So I'm always inviting songwriters in here and whatever studio I'm at, and we're always vibing together. And that's pretty much how I work in the studio. Rarely am I making beats alone. I very much have other people involved so that I can kind of feed off that energy, and it keeps me focused on, I need to do something. I can't just spend 5 hours tweaking a snare. So I hope that helps. Let me know in the chat room if that makes sense. Now what we're going to do is give you guys some time to ask some questions. So go ahead and click on the chat room and choose the Q&A. And I'll start with Khaled. And let's see here. All right. So, okay, so Khaled is asking, I'm a singer from Argentina. Mucho gusto. What do you think is the best way to start collaborating with people from the rest of the world, especially the US? Well, because I'm biased, number one is you're in the right place, Beat Academy. Hit up the collaboration forum, start hitting up. We have some amazing, talented people in this community. So hit them up. Don't be shy. Let them know. And just start searching SoundCloud. Just start hitting people up that you're come across. You know, a lot of people tell me, well, you know, I hit people up all the time online, but I don't get an answer. That's going to happen. We live in a pretty big world. So just keep at it. Just keep swinging the bat, and you'll never know. You'll get one person to return and say, hey, this is cool. Let's link up. So, but the great thing about Beat Academy is that it's set up in a way that you already have walked in through the door. Everybody in this place wants everybody else to succeed. So that heart and that mentality is such a blessing to have. And I'm blessed for you guys to have that kind of mindset. So jump on the forum, get involved, and let's get some things popping for 2018. Dakota is asking, what is the best way to get demos heard by labels? Well, right now, honestly, when I drop an opportunity from the major labels, just send it there. If I think it's cool, if I think there's a lot of potential in it, I will personally direct you as the next step. But as a part from what we're doing in Beat Academy, the best thing you could do, the best possible way to get heard from labels, and I think we mentioned a little bit about this last call, is simply to have a product in place. And what I mean by that is get your demos, get your songs placed with an artist. Or if you're the artist yourself, get it to a point where you don't want a label to be involved. And simply what that does is it builds the momentum that you need to move forward to building a fan base. And once you start building a fan base, you can go ahead and start nurturing relationships with those fans, and you start building a healthy tribe that'll support what you're doing as an artist. That's when labels are starting to get more attention. They'll be like, I like what you're doing, and we want to be a part of that. So just sitting there with ideas and rough cuts and beats aren't really going to get a label's attention unless you have a personal relationship with somebody that's working there, like a cousin, a really good friend, and you can play them some stuff. That's a different story. But for the majority, excuse me, of people, you're going to have to develop a product, develop something that the labels would want to be behind. So I hope that makes sense, Dakota. Let me know. Elisha, what's the fee for being a part of Beat Academy after the first month? Well, listen, I did not want this place to be something for the elite or the super rich. I wanted this to be affordable, and I wanted this to be an environment where you could truly thrive, all for the budget of like going out for a movie a month. So it's just $25. That's just on a monthly basis, and we have the option to do yearly as well. So You can email us at our email address, support@beatacademy.com. If you have any issues, if you have any questions about that, just let me know. All right. Andrew's asking, are there any specific tips you have to avoid getting headaches while you work, specifically with headphones? Yeah, just get up and move as much as possible. I had to go see a chiropractor because I was getting a lot of like tension headaches in the studio, and they were just telling me, you can't be sitting down for long periods of time. You have to get up, you have to move. So I've got a little timer here. I've got a little timer here on my phone that sets off maybe every 30 minutes or so, where I just get up, stretch, walk around, go outside, do cartwheels, give mouth to mouth to a chimpanzee. I don't know. It could happen. It's crazy. X-nay on the chimpanzee thing. Anyways, yeah, just move around and just getting some blood flow, jumping jacks, do all that kind of stuff would help. Here's our next question, and this is Tadish. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but what is tie-in opportunity, as in tie-in opportunity? I'm not really sure. If you can help me elaborate on that a little bit more, let me know, and I'll more than answer that. So Jim has got a question. I'm searching for some templates, aka Ableton files that most pop songs follow, i.e. the formula, intro, hook, chorus, verse, etc. Can you hook me up? Yeah, I actually lay this out really well in the songwriting course, so you can kind of just follow along that. I probably put some of that stuff in the vault down the road, so keep an eye on that, and we'll let you know once it's up there. All right, this next question is from Andrew DeLong. Andrew's asking, can you please explain the business side of collaboration? Should we discuss percentages before we start writing? Andrew, that's a great question. Now, here's the thing. Not everybody who you invite to dinner, or, it's almost like dating sometimes. It's weird because when you collaborate with somebody musically, it's a very intimate thing. It's an intimate process. You guys are both being vulnerable, accepting for criticism. So when somebody comes alongside and says, hey, before we start, read the dotted line, it could be a little weird, right? It could be that you could be that guy that makes things a little awkward. Imagine on a first date, it's like, hey, listen, before we move forward, here are my yeses and my nos for marriage. And you're like, whoa, slow down. We're just on the first date. We're not even talking about marriage. So it's a very important question and discussion to have. And what I would suggest is that it's had earlier on than later, because you're going to be caught in a sticky situation like ones that I've been personally. So after I've begun some of the writing process and things like that, I would actually take the time maybe after the session to discuss, hey, can we come up with a common ground as to how we splits? And most of the time people are like, hey, we can do 50-50. But if I really don't feel like that was the current situation, I would say, hey, I appreciate your offer for 50-50. I think the best move forward would probably be something like, and you bring up your number, whatever, So, but it's good to have that discussion and just work out, who's going to own the amount of percentages, and then you can go on the website songsplits.com and get all that stuff ironed out. And once that stuff's ironed out, it's so much easier to have that conversation later on than down the road. Is like, hey, somebody actually wants to use their song in a commercial, and we need to work out the splits. Now you're stuck, because now you might actually lose that opportunity to get the song in the commercial if the two of you can't agree on the simple splits. So I hope that makes sense. Excuse me. All right. So I'm going to take 3 more questions from the chat. I'll head to the forum, and then I'll do some jumping jacks, come back to the forum. So hold tight, guys. John is asking, I posted a pop song and had some views but no comments. Maybe I did not ask the right question, or the song really sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. That's probably not the case. What are some of the questions I should ask when posting a song to? Now, John, if you're specifically asking about the forum, like posting your songs, just be patient. as more and more people become members of Beat Academy, there's going to be more and more opportunities where, you know, I myself personally am trying my best to get to as many posts as I can and listen as much as I can. But, you know, the schedule is kind of crazy. So just be patient and maybe just try reposting it again. You can also try commenting on others and letting them know, hey, would you be more than willing to just check out what I've done on this other site? You could link to your other posts in our forum. So there's a little link icon. You could click that and just say, hey, you know, check this out. We'd love some feedback. So don't lose heart. I want to encourage you. That's not a pure reflection upon your song, because there's so many people coming from so many different walks of life and different spectrums. We have people joining the community who are just getting started, who really don't know much about production. And then we have seasoned people who've been doing this for a very long time. So there's a lot that we can learn from each other. So don't take it personally. Just have a little bit of patience. You know, we're going to do the best we can towards one another. And I'll see. So Antonio's asking, should your demo be 5 to 7 tracks, more like an EP? If you're asking the demo as far as like to demo for shopping around for labels and stuff like that, I would focus on doing a body of work that you can be proud of and you can present, or working with an artist and presenting a body of work, then maybe 1 or 2 songs. But you know, that's going to be dependent on the current situation, whether you are the artist or you're working for another artist. So Reva, I think I hope I'm saying that right. Riva or Reva? Reva. Okay. How do I know which synth to use for what? Does it even matter? I'm learning to use Alchemy on Logic right now, but there are so many different ones. Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's so many freaking synths out there that it's kind of crazy. I've actually had to narrow it down to like my 3 go-tos. That would be like Massive, Serum, or even Sylenth. And I've been using a couple little external guys that I have lying around here in the studio. But really, it's just going to come down to training your ear to know what it is that you're looking for. If you're looking for lush pads, or you're saying, you know what would be good here is like some cool pads or something really lush, then you're going to be able to manipulate any synthesizer and then conform that to your vision for that song. So that's the goal of using any tool, any instrument. You know, it's like, which guitar should I use, right? Every guitar has a specific tone. You know, you can go from a Gretsch to a Gibson, a Les Paul to a Squier. They all have their individual tones, but the melody you're playing on them, or the riff, or the style that you're playing, is going to determine on the type of song that you're looking to write. So, you know, that's the same principle is applied to synthesizers. So what's cool about using a brand new synth is that you come across patches, you're like, whoa, that's a new sound to me, that's really cool and inspiring, and you could write songs based completely on those patches. So I am going to be bringing somebody on board who is an amazing sound designer, has worked with so many different companies and stuff like that, works with Ableton. So I'm going to bring them on board. They're going to be doing a exclusive sound designing course walkthrough for us that's going to be available in Beat Academy. So stay on board for that. Really excited about that. Okay, so wow, that's a lot of questions. Hold on, everybody. Whew. Oh no, I'm out. All right, let me answer some questions that were on the forum, and then we'll scoot right back to here. And I also want to hear from you guys your thoughts and your takes on Beat Academy so far. You know, where you know, how's it been for you guys? Has it been helpful? Has it been beneficial? Is it something that you are enjoying? Please let me know. Let's go to some questions that were on the forum, and then so hold off on writing questions right now. I just wrapped up Reva, so I'll go right back to you. I think the next question will come from Ramo. So just hold tight, everybody. All right. So someone's asking, I would love if you can talk more about finding the key of the track and how to use that knowledge with progressions. Okay. How to find the key of a song. there's so many things using music theory that you can do, but I'm really going to just break it down for the sake of time with this couple of things. Focus in on the bass line. And what you want to do is discover the pattern that the bass line is doing. So generally, like in pop music, the bass line will be playing the root note of each chord progression. And typically, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but typically, sometimes the bass note will start at the bottom, the bass tone or the bass note plays the root at the very first bar, and that root would normally be the one of that key or the one of that chord progression, letting you know that that's usually the key of that song. So what you can do is listen to the bass line and bring up a MIDI keyboard and just play around the MIDI keyboard until you've located that note. And then you're going to do this time and time again until you start developing your ear training. I'll post, I've done a video on this, especially geared towards remixing. So I'll post that in the forum to help you as well. Number 5, or from the forum, number 5. What books have you read that helped you as an artist / producer? Books. There's a lot of books. And mostly what I've been reading is I'm trying to read like at least a book a month, or 2 books, a book every 2 months. But one of the most helpful ones, besides like, a lot of books that I've been reading lately have been books on, productivity, just being efficient, creating efficient workflows and things like that. This book here, The One Thing by Gary Keller, was really good. It's a simple read, but it's a really good book. And the whole basis of that book is basically focusing in on the one thing that you could do a day that, if you did it, would make everything else relevant or not needed to be done. And basically it helps refocus on what it is that you can do to get the most potential out of your current, time and things like that. It's great with time management, stuff like that. So a lot of my music production, a lot of my reading, besides fiction, and I do a lot of C.S. Lewis too. So I'm reading a lot of C.S. Lewis, a lot of theology stuff too. But I mix it up with a lot of that stuff as well. Tim Ferriss, Tool of the Titans, and things like that. So all those are really good reads. Let me just take a break. All right. Okay, so here's our next question from the forum. Given the need to explore alternative streams of income in music production today, how viable is producing and selling original sample packs these days? Do you have advice on how to create and market these? Sample packs, the sample pack game, any game or any market you can get into could look on the outset overwhelmed and oversaturated. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't get into it. I'm not telling you that don't get into the sample pack game. It's going to be a long journey there. The guys who do well in the sample pack games are the ones who are always consistent. So if you're consistently releasing and creating great product and great content, then you're going to be, continuously paving the way for yourself to be a lot more successful at that. It's just like any other business or anything that you're doing. It's just finding a niche, niching it down. So instead of trying to create sample packs that cater to everybody, you might be better off just focusing in. Like a good friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, his name is Illmind. So we've got the ill stuff happening already. But he's big on making sample packs specifically for hip hop. That's his thing. And he's been doing it for a while, I think since 2011. And he's just been consistent with it. And it's doing really well for him. So you just have to be consistent and know from the outset that it is a long road to get to where you want to. So here's my point. If you've got sounds that you're creating and you're putting them on the side, might as well just put them out there. It's not going to hurt you, right? So might as well have that out there while, what I'm saying is, as you're focusing on creating, keep the same momentum, put something out every month, move on to the next project or whatever. So that way you have a good archive for people to choose from. And I hope that helps. All right, one more from the forum. Let's see. I love creating sampling. This is a good question. I love creative sampling, but the pain and potential cost of clearing samples has made me nearly stop sampling altogether. How do you go about sample clearance, and how do copyright laws work in the U.S.? All right. So I've seen this in the forum, and I've seen a lot of people chime in with really good feedback, sampling, and you know, as if you saw my breakdown video, I clearly just used that string from the Millie Jackson, and I sampled that stuff. I'm gonna take this back. When I was working with Timbaland, when he did Big Pimpin' with Jay-Z, he was approached. Big Pimpin' has a sample. It's actually a national anthem from a country somewhere in the Middle East. And the family of the person who composed that was suing Timbaland because he decided to sample that and not give any recognition. Now, here's my thought. Technically, yeah, when we wanted to sample James Brown saying, "Hit me," or "Yeah," for the Justin Timberlake Future Sex Love Sound for Sexy Back, we had to, I actually recorded Jimmy Douglas in the vocal booth saying, "You ready?" And what I did was I sampled it and I pitched it up on my keyboard. And that's what we ended up using because technically we weren't able to record James Brown saying something like, "You ready?" Because by law, you had to get that cleared. So here's the reality. You can replicate stuff, you can re-record stuff, but when you're at that status of like a Timbaland status where there's a lot of spotlight on you, everything gets combed with a fine tooth. So anything you're doing, you better make sure that you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Now, at the current level that you're at right now, and I'm not saying that you're at the bottom toe, but what I'm saying is if you're at a level in which you're not getting mainstream spotlight, such as Timbaland, then if you can take a vocal sample, tweak it, reverse it, manipulate it to the point where no attention is derived to you, then, you know, nobody's going to be knocking on your door, chasing you down and asking you to clear. That's my take on it, but it has to be completely unrecognizable. But technically by law, you do have to get it cleared because there's two factions. There's the people, the writers and the publishers who own that copyright, and also the people who own the master rights for that, which would normally be the record labels and stuff like that. So what I typically do is if I'm contorting samples until they're unrecognizable, I kind of pin it down to the project. Like if it's going to be going to Sia and she's going to use it on her thing, then what I would do is I would recreate it. So the Millie Jackson string sample I did on the breakdown, I would find the budget from the label to hire strings and replay it, or I would just get VSTs and try my best to replay it and stuff like that. That way I don't have to deal with getting it cleared. So, and so that's how the copyright laws in the US, I know in certain places you don't have to register and get it copywritten. By law in the US, once you have something down on a tangible format, such as a recording of it, by law, it's already copywritten, and you don't necessarily have to go and copyright it every single time you create a beat or something like that. When you work on a project, a song, and you've written that song, and you're copywriting it, you guys are all the parties involved in the creation of that song will come to an agreement as to how to split the share of publishing and writers percentage for that song. Then it gets registered, and there you go. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the chat room if that made any sense to anybody out there, and we'll go ahead and keep moving with some questions here before we wrap up. Leon says he's loving Beat Academy and community. Very helpful and keeps me going. Not enough time to interact with all in there, but much love. Thanks, Leon. Cool. Amber says it makes sense. Andrew, plenty of sense. Perfect. I'm glad that it makes some sense. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go down a little bit. I'll pick up. We have some questions. Yeah, easymusiclearning.com. You could hit that up. All right, let's. I'll pick up. Amber is asking questions. I love learning from books. Do you have any recommendation for best book on mixing? Beginner's Guide to Mixing is good. There's a lot of great resources you can find now on Amazon for mixing. We're gonna be redoing the mixing course, and that's gonna be coming up soon for you guys. So hopefully, I'll be sharing a couple things on there that'll help you with the mixing as well. Let's see. From what you Okay, let me get back to Tara's question. So from what you sent us, this tie-in's main purpose to promote the song, and we would like to ask the writers to waive the sync and performance fees. Oh, okay. So I think you're asking about the opportunity I posted this morning. Each opportunity that might get presented, not only for me, but for what I post in the forum, will have specific details. So since this song is catered to a Asian pop group, there are different ways that they work over there. So they want to basically make sure that they're not going to run into any weird entanglements. So they want to make sure that the song that I'm presenting to them is not being used, has no samples, it's very clear, and it's very black and white, straight to the point. So they want to be able to say, when we want this song to be synced on a commercial, we don't have to go and ask for permission from somebody in the US. We want basically the ability to have it all in our bubble without having you guys to get in the way. So that's what that means. All right, this question is from Minstrel. How to get an authorization from artists to make reprises, for example, instruments, soundtracks, or remixes? Thank you. This gets a little tricky because you can't simply just email, an artist. You can't email Tiesto and just say, "Hey, man, I'd like to do a remix. Give me the parts." Unless they're open to that, because it's a lot more involved. There's the record label that owns the rights to that song. There's many different writers who own the rights to that. There's the publisher who owns the rights. So everybody has to be on board with the okay to allow that track to be remixed or given out for reprise. So you can do something as going to the Harry Fox agency. You can type in harryfox.com. And what Harry Fox would do is they would give you the license to recreate the song, not sample it, but recreate the song, maybe do a cover of that song, and you would have the rights to that. And there might be some caveats to that. Maybe, for the first 1,000 that you sell of that, there's a certain percentage you got to give, but they'll let you know. But you can go to sites like Harry Fox. You can also do louder.com. I mentioned in the last video, Louder will also let you do the same thing, cover songs, and they will handle all that stuff for you. So Dave is asking, I just signed up a week ago. I love the 2 courses available. Will there be more? Is the fees just to access the courses? Yeah, there's going to be plenty more. There's going to be much more courses. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have guest producers, songwriters chime in with their courses as well. So there's going to be a lot more content. There's a breakdown that gets released every month. So I'm working on providing content every month for you guys on the courses and things like that. So just hang tight because there's going to be a lot more stuff. And like I said, more opportunities that I'll be posting down the road. So you don't want to miss out. Let's move up here. Colin. Woo. All right. Colin had this question. I had to leave for a few moments, so I'm sorry if this has been asked, but do you help with music placements for sync if we give you some credits or something? Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of me putting those opportunities. So I'll be putting some sync placement opportunities relatively soon when I get them. And if there's something that really catches my attention that has a lot of potential, I'll walk you through the next steps, and we'll see. We'll take it from there. So let's see. Jimmy, I got disconnected, so this may have been asked already, but can we see you work through a beat creation from the very messy beginning? I'm really digging the breakdown stuff, but it would be nice to see you actually process go down from the moment of inspiration. Sure. I mean, that might be something I will do in the future. What I'll do is I'll do like a live broadcast. I'll start something from scratch. I'll film it live and then, trim it down so it's not a whole. I'll edit it in the sense that you're not losing anything, and post that up for you guys in your dashboard so you'll have access to that. So that's a good suggestion. Thanks for bringing that up. Louder is spelled differently. It's LODR. Nope, that's not it either. Listen, louder.com. It's loud. It's loud without the E. It's just loud R. So it would be LOUDR.com. Just go ahead and post everything within the form, or you could message there. That'll be the best way to do it. Yep. Damien's asking if there would be replays. Yeah, all of our Q&As always get replayed, and we'll do our best to timestamp it so you know exactly when the questions are being answered and asked. All right, let me just ask. I'm going to answer the last questions on our form, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up with some Q&As from you guys. All right. So here's a question. In Germany, it's not possible per law to give away your writers and publishing rights, which makes it hard on international market. Would be great if you had some advice for the problem. All right. So in Germany and some other places around the world, there's a law that you cannot offer or give away your writer's percentage or your publishing. So for instance, if a big publishing company from the US says, hey, we want to get all of your publishing for their songs, you would have to work that out. There's specific laws and lawyers who can make contracts to work all that out. But what you can do is, if you come across an opportunity and you live in Germany or that part of the world where you can't share some of your publishing, then what you can do is you can negotiate on the master right. You can say, hey, listen, I'll give you 50% of the master usage if you can get this song on a commercial or something. So there's always a way to negotiate with the master rights, because that deals towards the recording. So I hope that makes sense for you. What is a good plan for releasing a debut single? Do you recommend hiring a publicist to shop it, or go to radio, magazines, etc.? Would love to hear your view on releasing music in 2018. Okay, first thing, don't go to radio. Don't go to radio. No, slap your hand right now. Now, the reason why I'm huge on not going to radio is because it is probably the quickest way to burn through cash. It's the quickest way to burn through your money. You want to be able to have a platform in which you can locate where the people who are liking your music coming from. So I think the best way to release a debut single, and we're going to talk a lot about this as we come up with our music marketing course that we're going to implement as a part of that you're going to be seeing soon. Good, Amber, slap the hand. Here's the thing. You have to understand that people, the day of exchanging a song for monetary value, basically, here's my song, give me money, that day is over. It's gone. So now what you have to view your music is as it's a bridge that people can cross over to connect to you, the artist. So you're going to be releasing music, and you're going to be treating it as a bridge that people can walk over so they can discover who you are as an artist and connect with you on a much deeper level and a more personal level. Because now you're going to be attracting people with your music as the catalyst, but then people want to get deeper. I mean, we're so bombarded with music all over the place that the thing is that people are now craving is they want to be a part of a movement that artist is creating. They want to be a part of what that artist is doing. That's why social engagement is so strong with artists and their material. So the best thing you would want to do is, when you're releasing music, is that you want to build up the story behind the release of that music. And if you're just starting off with your auntie and your neighbor, and they're the only fans of your music, then start working on developing a healthy fan base with letting people discover who you are. So you might want to start with some covers. You might want to start with some remixes and things like that can start building up the buzz behind what you're doing and your artistry. Then attach your message and your story behind that. When you have the story of who you are, where you're coming from, what's the background, why are you doing music, I can resonate with you better if I understand where you're coming from, and I also resonate with your message. So that way, you're connecting on three sides as opposed to just here's my music, and you'll have a stronger return for that. So we're going to extrapolate on that big time in the marketing course that's coming soon. So I hope that makes sense. So you can also let me know if you guys resonate, if this makes sense to you guys in the chat room. Let me know that you got to get out of the mindset of just here's my music, like it and give me money. That's gone. You now have to create a whole story and a message and momentum behind that by building finding fans and niching down and really creating a backstory of who you are as an artist so they can connect on a deeper level with your music. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys in the chat room. Here's another question. Here are the last two questions from the forum, and then we'll wrap it up with you guys. What tips can you recommend for keeping projects neat and organized? What should I start a new project file once it's time to take final takes? So someone is asking basically when they start creating a project and they have a lot of these rough ideas, do they start to record new idea, the final takes on them? My workflow is this. I start a basic rough idea and I always have the microphone on and ready. So I'm tracking rough ideas all the time. And then I mute it, keep that to the side. And when it comes down to put final ideas, I just put final ideas on that same project. I just build upon it, clean things up, and then work off of that. And that's going to be how I go about doing that, because I always want to reference the rough and go back to that, so I make sure I don't lose that character or lose that vibe. Because if you start something from fresh, you tend to approach it with a fresh new sense of a vibe that or spark that you probably didn't have, that you don't have, that you had in the beginning process. All right, can you please talk about bass and sub bass in general? Where does the bass end and where does sub bass begin? Do you treat them differently? If so, how? Yes. Okay, on to the next one. No. All right. This topic can get a little messy or muddy. See what I did there? Now, basically, you want to do this. If you mix with your eyes, if you start getting in the habit of mixing too technically, meaning I always got to wipe out, 40 to 50 hertz for my kicks because that's where the bass is going to live. I did that for a long time. What I started realizing is I started mixing too technically. I started getting lost in that, and my stuff has started losing life. So it's funny, when Jimmy Douglas would mix all the Timberland stuff and we're working together, when I started learning, I was like, Jim, don't you need to trim 40 hertz away from that kick? And he looks at me, he looks at me and tells me like, dude, first shut up, because I know what I'm doing, and then second, he gives me that look like it sounds good, so I'm not gonna touch it. For instance, let me see if I can do this really quick, and you guys can let me know if you're able to see this. Let me just lower the volume. But here I have a kick, and you can see that the kick has a boost, like it really quickly, it peaks at like 50 hertz, right? And then I have this 808, this huge 808, and I know you might not be hearing anything. I just don't want your speakers to blow anything right now. But what I'll do is I'll just creep the volume up a little. See. And I have this 808 right here. Now the 808 is living in the same spot as the kick, roughly. I mean, you get 60, and then it goes down to 50. So now because the 808 has more sustained notes, and my kick drum is, just really quick, and it's not being sustained there, I don't mind So I'm not trying to get too take, because then what happens is that kick acts like a really quick boost. It just like gives a nice little punch to that sub. And then what I do is I do a lot of side chaining so that the sub will get out of the way of the kick and then the sub will come back up. So I do some of that to help, but you want to just keep in mind that if you start to hear a lot of muddiness happening, then that's when you become surgical and you go back and you be like, okay, the kick is just way too muddy down here and I need to trim a little bit of that fat and let the sub live there. So anywhere from like 40 to 60, that'll be like your sub, and then from 60 and beyond, you can get that from the kick. But I say just find the right sounds, the right kick. It also depends on the genre too, and the music and how minimal and the instrumentation. How much low end do you have in there? Do you have other instruments that are living down there? So I'm going to get more in depth about this in the mixing course. So there'll be a lot more in-depth talk about that down the road. So stay on board so you can check that out, and I'll get that. All right, so let's wrap up with a couple questions here. I'll scroll down. Felipe has a question. Hi. I was contacted by a guy called Johnny Vieira. He says he was like a producer from LA, and he's asked me $195 for using his relation for songs placement. Should I trust him? Do you know him? Okay. Whew. I don't personally know. I don't know the guy, so I never heard of him. Here's the deal. When anybody, understand this, guys, when anybody's making a quick promise to say, give me money and I will get you placement, that's just not true. That can never happen unless they're entirely in control of the placement platform, meaning that they are the music supervisor for a film and they know for a fact that they are putting your song on a film. I just recently did music for a film. It's called, it's for the movie, the remake they're doing for Overboard, whatever. But anyways, I was doing music for that. And because I know the music supervisor, and I was working with the director and the music supervisor, I knew that I had a higher chance of getting that stuff placed in the song, in the movie. Now, when somebody's waving the carrot in front of you saying, if you give me $200, or now there are some justifiable services. There are, services that if you pay monthly, they will put your songs on a rotation or a catalog. This is how it works. Give me your song. I'll put it in a catalog, and when somebody's asking for music for a sync or a commercial or a film, I show them my catalog. I'll rummage through it, and I'll say, oh, this guy's song. But it's not a for sure thing that it will get placed. None of this stuff is personal. I mean, I've been going about offering stuff for sync for like almost 17 years, and I've only gotten maybe like a handful of them placed. So it's you could deliver exactly what the people want for their commercial, but at the end of the day, they never end up using it. So unless this guy is truly going to confirm that and refund your money, that he gets a placement in a certain amount of time, let's say like in 2 months he'll get a placement, then I would stay clear from anything. Those are red flags for me when somebody's saying, hey, give me $200 and I'll get your stuff placed on TV. Because there's no for sure way that you can put stuff on TV unless you have a tight, close-in relationship with that. So that's my take on that. So be very wary about that. What you can do instead is says, hey, waive the $195. I'll give you exclusive rights for 3 months to shop my stuff. Okay, shop my stuff, and we'll split the master rights. So let me give you a scenario. Let's say this guy lands your song on a movie, and the budget for that song to be on the movie is $1,000. So then you tell him, hey, we'll split the $1,000 because $1,000 has to get split. $500 goes to the guys who own the master, and $500 goes to the guys who own the publisher. So you'll keep the publishing $500, and then you'll split the $500, $250 for you and then $250 for him. So he would make more money if he did it that way anyways. Yeah, it just sounds a little shady to me. So just be very careful with that. And if you guys have any questions about decisions that you need to be making, look, post them in and let me know in Beat Academy, okay? That's why I created this platform. I really want to help you the best way I can. So Felipe, let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that helps. And I'm going to do about 2 more questions, guys, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Excuse me. Matisse is asking how to know the key of a recorded vocal. I'm new to singing, so don't know the tones I sing in. This is going to be tricky. If you've gotten an acapella and you have no idea the key of the song, and you can't find the original song to listen to it to find the key, it's going to be very tricky. What you're going to have to do is find the dominant tones that this person is singing. Sometimes when they start the song, they could start on the 1 or the 3rd or the 5th. So what you would do is play the note that person is singing, and then see if that's the 3rd of a C major chord, which would be E, play a C, E, G. And if it's not, then move around till you find the right note that they're singing in. It's going to be a little time consuming, but you want to find the common tone throughout their vocal take, and then you can narrow it down to a couple of keys that you can work with. All right, and let's see. Yeah, Felipe is mentioning that he continued. Yeah, and look, like I said, I don't know the guy, so I'm not gonna shoot the guy down. You know, it's just it comes off a little sketchy when somebody's saying, "Hey, man, give me some money and I'll get it placed." Just have a discussion with him. You know, listen, I get hit up with guys. You know, I work with people very high up in the industry, and they don't come up to people and ask them, give me $200 and I'll get it placed. So. Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of people do a lot of things in this industry. You just have to be very mindful of where it is that you want to go and the steps what you're willing to compromise to get there. That's all I can say. All right, guys. So let me know in the chat if you thought this was cool. I know many of you this is your first time in the live Q&A call. Let me know if this was beneficial, if this was something helpful, if you enjoy these things as much as I do. Let me know in the chat room. We're going to be doing 2 calls this month. That's because that's how gangsta I love these things. I think they're awesome. So let me know your thoughts. Cool. Something I have in mind, I'm also going to be introducing a couple people from publishing companies and things like that, and there will be guests in these Q&As, and I'll let you know ahead of time so you can prep questions for them and that we can kind of interview them and just have them chime in as well. Awesome. You got JJ, it was 3 a.m. in Tokyo. Thanks, JJ, for being awesome and jumping on board, staying up late. Cool. Well, I'm glad this was really helpful for you guys. That's my intention. This is where my heart is behind all this. I want to be able to just give you the best possible opportunities as much as possible. So as I mentioned, we've got a lot of great things on the horizon, so stay on board. Not only am I going to be adding new courses such as mixing, how to make a living with your music. We're going to get great guys doing sound design. We're going to have featured breakdowns from other people in the industry, songwriting stuff. So there's a lot of stuff happening in 2018. I definitely want you to be a part of this. Also, I'll get more opportunities to post more projects that I'm working on. And the good thing is these are projects I'm personally engaged in, so you have a great direct access to those projects. More sync opportunities, more things to keep you busy. And also, we're going to be introducing our monthly contests too. So we're going to start introducing our monthly contest probably in February. We'll give you more details about that. And that's just contests specifically tailored to you guys here as members. And there's going to be prizes. There's going to be cash prizes, some great opportunities of that stuff as well. So lots of things happen in Beat Academy. Love that you guys are aboard. Tell your friends, but you don't need to hide your wife, hide your kids. And thank you guys for taking the time and rocking it with us here. All right. So looking forward to our next call. I'll be in and out of the forums. Let me know what you think, and see you guys soon. Take care.